Hi, I'm Mauro Porcini, PepsiCo's Chief Design Officer. Join me for our new series where we dive into the minds of the greatest innovators of our time, with the goal of finding what drives them in their professional journey and in their personal life, trying to uncover the universal truths that unite anyone attempting to have a meaningful impact in the world. This is In Your Shoes.
I believe that design, by its very nature, breaks boundaries. A designer has to be a leader. A designer must have a strong attitude about what design as a discipline is, where design should come from, and what purpose it should serve. I'm quoting today's guest, a designer, an innovator, and a social scientist. As Senior Vice President of Samsung Electronics, he heads the Samsung Design Innovation Center, Experience and Insights Lab out of San Francisco, and the Next Generation Experience Planning Team in Seoul. Before joining Samsung, he worked at Motorola and Philips Design, envisioning and creating innovative product experiences. He also founded and directed the MIT Design Lab and the MIT Mobile Experience Lab. He holds a PhD in Sociology of Culture and Communication from the Sorbonne University, where he focused on mediated communication and social interaction in networked communities and smart cities. He's published several scientific papers in peer-reviewed journals, books, and articles. Federico Casalegno, welcome to In Your Shoes.
Grazie, Mauro. It is my great pleasure to be here, and thank you for the invitation.
Well, it's a super pleasure for us to have you here with us today. Fellow Italian, as you probably can, as people can hear from your accent and mostly reading your name, but with a very international career, Italy, France, America, working in America for a Korean company. We'll talk about this as well, what it means, and in a very top position. But there is something, I was reading your resume, there was something that really caught my eye. As an industrial designer and innovator, when you read those three letters, that word, immediately, it catches your attention. MIT. You had an experience at MIT. You actually funded the MIT Design Lab. So how a guy from Turin, Italy, end up in the MIT, that's just already an achievement, and create the first design lab at MIT. Tell us a little bit of this story.
Yeah, that's a good story, actually, because as you know, for any innovator or designer, MIT is definitely the place you want to be. And every innovator probably read the Stuart Brand book about the Media Lab, like early 90s, Nicholas Negroponte's Being Digital. So I had really an appetite to move at one point from Europe to MIT. Which has been always an incredible place. So when I moved to MIT from France, I started to work with Bill Mitchell. And Bill Mitchell was at that time the dean of the School of Architecture. And he really had several passions. And one of those definitely is passion for design in a way design is understood today, which is really how you can foster innovation, how you can design a center towards users. And I arrived at MIT early in the year 2000. And then little by little with Bill Mitchell, we started to teach classes and to really have a design-driven approach at MIT. And we had
how did you arrive to MIT? You got a job there or with Mitchell or?
Yes, I basically, as soon as I finished my PhD in France, I defended my thesis in July 3rd, and September 3rd, I started at MIT with Bill Mitchell. So at that time, I was working actually with Philips Design, and I moved to MIT to work with Bill Mitchell in the School of Architecture and Planning, and then at the Media Lab with other groups.
What was your job officially back then at the beginning?
I was research scientist, so I started to work on several projects, and I have been always interested in connected communication, in community-driven experience, and so on. So with Philips Design, I was working on connected communities, and at the same time, I was working with another professor, Pierre Lévy, who actually was well known for this collective intelligence framework. So there was all this idea of how I could work within MIT around communities. And among the first project, we started to work on remote collaboration for architects. How can you improve creativity, utilize emerging tools, and enable architects from distant location to be more creative together? So that was the initial project I was doing with MIT.
And then what happened? How did you arrive to create the design lab?
And then, still discussing with MIT, we actually did a lot of work within the Media Lab. So at that time, MIT, Bill Mitchell was the head of Smart Cities, which was basically, for Bill Mitchell, he was the one who really brought the idea of smart cities to the front end of the discussion. And the Media Lab, of course, had an approach very interesting. We all know the Media Lab approach of demo or die, pushing advanced research, etc., etc. But with MIT, what we really wanted, with Bill Mitchell, what we really wanted to do was to bring different groups together to apply a user-centered design, to apply design as a way to explore a variety of ideas. So we started to collect different groups within the design lab. And actually, the first project were around smart mobility, smart innovative trade shows, or a series of I would say, domain that really investigate the boundary of design across many different disciplines. So the design lab was a way to bring together very different departments from MIT or students from MIT and have them working together in one unique topic.
So this is very, very interesting because this is one of the key aspects of design. I often define designers as experts of everything and experts of nothing. We are trained to facilitate different words, connect them together with our ability to prototype ideas, focus on human beings. And this aspect of design is often not understood, is not clear to people. How the media, the MIT understood this. You were able to explain it to them. How did you do it? I'm sure there are many design leaders now in their companies thinking, I want to explain exactly that to my boss, to my company. Yeah. How did you position it and how did it happen?
Well, when we started with Bill Mitchell, we started to teach a class at the media, which was called Design Without Boundaries. And we usually started with one topic, reinventing mobility, reinventing public transportation, or any interesting topic. And then the idea was to hire or bring students and researchers together from very different departments. So as a foundation from the class was to bring students from mechanical engineer, computer science, media lab, School of Architecture. And then we also had students from Harvard. One of the incredible things in Cambridge is students from MIT can take classes at Harvard and vice versa. So there is a hybridization of knowledge, of peoples, of talents. And we were really fostering that, really actively hunting from students from very different departments, from very different knowledge, skills, but also cultural background. So we had students from everywhere from the world. So a way to foster...
You're making me feel like going back to school to experience this connection between Harvard and MIT. It's so fascinating.
Yeah, it was incredible. Yeah.
And so how did it go? It's still there? There is still a design lab at MIT?
Well, now since I left for Samsung, I closed the design lab for some time. We do still have the some of the work, but for now is on pause. Overall, MIT now is really embracing design as we meant at that time. So when we started the design lab, we were really the ones really pushing the boundaries of experience-driven design the way we understand today. And now MIT, we have a minor on design, they're teaching design and so on. So it's definitely embracing a good approach to design, which is complementary to many other design that existed already at MIT.
So then you mentioned Samsung. I have many questions I want to ask you about Samsung, both as a culture, as a Korean company, as well as obviously consumer electronics, technologies, the future of the society we live in. Starting with culture. So you are an Italian in America, not in the headquarters in Korea, in a Korean company. And you know, the Korean culture is, you know, is a certain kind of culture, is a beautiful, amazing culture, unique, very different than the American one, and very different than the Italian one. Is a Korean company that is dealing with the global world, like PepsiCo, American company trying to figure out how to move in many countries around the world. So what is your role there, and how did you integrate yourself within the Korean culture, within the American culture as well, you know, with your Italian heritage? How do you make it work?
So two things, like one is the role I have in Samsung, but the intriguing question about culture and perspective is interesting. So in a way, for me, Korean and Italians are way closer than we imagine. We are basically I don't want to say the same. There's a peninsula. We love food tremendously. There is a huge tradition on food, both for what you eat, but as a social rituals. We love beautiful things and design. Koreans are crazy about good design, arts. So I think there are many interesting points that make us really close to Korean in a way. So I guess on that aspect, I feel somehow very close by Koreans, even though it's very hard to understand the language, to talk, etc. But I would say that's the.
And so why they didn't ask you to just go to Seoul and to the headquarters, and they let you work from America? What's going on there?
Well, no. Actually, I have a big team.
You have a global role, right? But not in the headquarters. Usually, most of these roles are in the headquarters of these corporations, right?
Last year I spent almost 6 months over there. So I spent a lot of time in Korea. I think it's true. I have a big role there. I have a big team there. But at the same time, one of the value that we bring from here, I have teams in Europe, I have teams in United States. And one of the big values that we bring is really, we have a unique capability to understand silent signals, behavioral changes, to intercept life and behaviors and bring it back to headquarters. So the reason why I have offices global and especially in Europe and the United States is really this ability to bring those behavioral changes and signals and bringing them to in a way that then we can bring those shift into our products and inform design. So
do you find any problem in translating these insights across different cultures? I'm asking you from the seat of a multinational corporation. I have teams as you in different regions of the world. And my role is the one of really trying to build this connector, this facilitator. I need people within my team that know how to talk different languages. I'm talking about cultural languages, obviously. So how do you find this challenge? How is it working for you?
Well, I do have, of course, great designers that actually work with me and really connect. In my team, we have a lot of Koreans here in San Francisco or Europe, but as well in headquarters, and really our designer that trying to work across culture and across countries, and in a way translate and adapt in a right way what we do from here, because that's one way. But overall, what we do, there is an additional difficulty in ways like how do you understand shift in people's aspirations today? It's not only of cultural difference, but it's really a matter of how do you understand people today, which go beyond the cultural difficulties or language difficulties.
Samsung is obviously a tech company. It's a company that I admire for the longest time. I remember when I was in Milan, Samsung had a design center in Milan run by friends of mine. They were there hunting for trends and try to understand what was going on there. And that's when I started to study the company. And I used Samsung many times in the companies I work with and for as an example of how you could move from an OEM providing technology to other brands and companies to one of the most amazing design companies in the world, and also number one in consumer electronics. Amazing, amazing design story. For the people that don't know this story, go online or buy books and read this story. The first design revolution, the second design revolution, driven by the top of the company. At the beginning of my PepsiCo journey, long story short, I admire this company. We are now in a moment of major transition, driven by globalizations, the new technology, and Samsung is the driver of multiple of these new technologies, and also now a pandemic and the social unrest and many things that are reshaping the society we live in. What is the role of technology in all of this? There are amazing things that technology is doing, and then there are also eventually things that are less desirable. What's the role of technology? And I know that technology is a very broad word, but let's start from there. The role of technology in this world, in the future of this world.
Well, I can answer in two ways. On one way, for example, the way technologies have helped nowadays throughout the pandemic, because you mentioned, is incredible. The way we actually still can connect, communicate, be in touch with the people we love and care. So that was amazing. The way artificial intelligence or the next level of computation helped, for example, even to discover the vaccine. So technology had and keep having an amazing role, and it is definitely important to push the boundaries of the technological advancement. However, my role and the way my contribution is is really to think through the lens of user, through the lens of people, and Samsung and our products are amazing from the point of view of technological advancement. So, for example, some of the products really show the amazing technologies, an amazing achievement. But one great designer that we love and Munari used to say, it's easy to put everything, every color, every shape, every forms, everything into something. But what is really difficult is to remove everything and leave the essential. So in every rock there is a David. The point is, how do you remove all the unwanted material to leave an essential statue, which is an amazing celebration of beauty. So, and the way we do that in my team is trying to push not what technology can do, but what technology should do. And should do not because we try to empathize and talk to users and have an ongoing relationship with users. So the role of technologies is more and more important. But if you let the technology go without a human-centered perspective, is a simple search for perception, for perfection, without humanity, is a perception within human progress. And in a way, again, we try to achieve the opposite. That's why, for example, when we start to work, and this is for designers is a common process. When we start to work, for example, in the future of video cameras, our approach is never to start thinking by the technology, but first of all, you start to ask questions to yourself like storytelling. Humans have been telling stories since forever. 17,000 years ago, the Lascaux cave in France, they have the first mural on the cave. And that's, in a way, the first image of one millennial going out there and seeing good food and coming back in the cave and then portraying the cave and telling the story to his friends and family. Now we use mobile devices and we post on social media. But the human needs to tell stories, to connect with people through storytelling, to share and be connected remain the same. So that's what we try to achieve from our lens.
The power of words. I love what you said earlier. Can versus should. The ethics also of technology and making sure, because yeah, technology and power give you freedom, but then it give you freedom to do good things or bad things. Or eventually it gives freedom to some to use others in certain ways. I found a quote from you that is really interesting. To design technologies we can use, but not let them use us. That's fascinating. Yeah. It's beautiful. So many times we become slaves of this technology. I try to be very objective. If we think about social media, for instance, a lot of people are like, oh my God, we're always in front of the screen. Well, there is the negative side, and then there is the positive side of connecting with other people. The fact that there are regions of the world that have certain kind of culture that somehow eventually were discriminatory, and now these people are exposed to other cultures, and there is a new awareness, and things are changing, and technology is accelerating that change. So there is the good and the bad, and so it's in people like you, Federico, in companies like yours, that we need to rely to have that ethical compass, right? You really have the possibility to do the right thing, to push technology in a certain direction. You don't control everything. So obviously there are many, many factors in place, but for sure to have these companies with good designers driven by a purpose, by the right thing, by a certain kind of ethics is fundamental. And I think is at the core of everything you say all the time, right?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. It's really, how you can bend technologies towards human purpose, how you can bend technology towards the planet. I mean, it's easy to fall in love with technological advancement, and that's coming from 20 years at MIT is I know that there is a huge passion around that, and that's all right. But then when we start really to drive products, it's really how do you ask yourself how can you design for humans and with humans, but also how you design for humanity. So now again, the pandemic, between social issues, between economical issues, between health issues, is really evident that there is a need for designer to consider not only the user that they work for and design for, but at the general level, like to have a very systemic approach to try to identify a solution that consider that we live in a planet. This planet is shared with certain limited resources, and we need to do the best to preserve that. So in that way, the ethical approach is absolutely fundamental with that lens. So that's
well, and obviously we work in PepsiCo, food and beverage industry, and most of the time people think, well, what technology has to do with this, with what we eat, what we drink, and eventually when you think of technology for many companies in this industry is, well, social media, communication, PR, marketing, branding, blah 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 blah. What we've been trying to do in the past years is been to try to understand how technology can help you instead in understanding what is the right food for you, how to customize your food, your drinks. So we came up recently with these wearable technologies in Gatorade to customize your drinks. In SodaStream Professional, this machine to customize, again, your drinks on the base of your needs, physiological needs, and your taste and desires, and many other things that we have in the pipeline. You and I have been chatting about opportunities of technology in food and beverage in many ways as designers and dreamers. What's your point of view on what technology can do in the world of food and beverage?
Well, it's quite embarrassing. You are the expert. So you said one thing that is about customization. And that's, for example, immediately touch one of the arguments that we were discussing before, which is about ethics. So in order to personalize food and beverage, you need to know your user, and you need to know the user. How do you deal with privacy? How do you deal with data? And of course, the more the user give you access to his, her behavior, data, etc., the more you can customize services. So in that case, the balance of how much you know about the person, how do you protect the data, how do you utilize the data in a good way, is definitely one of the key elements. And I know that it is true that I'm sure in your business, the level of technological advancement is really going far, and it's amazing what can be done. In a way, there is a level of technical sophistication, how they design products that achieve some sort of I would say basic functionality. So if you design a fridge, how the fridge can have a constant level of cold and preserve the food in the right way. And this is, at the same time, how the fridge can be sustainably for the planet, for the environment, for the use of energy. So that's one area. But more and more, I would say, consumers are in search for a sort of partnership from objects that have some sort of subjectivity, and propose or work with the user in finding the best food, the best diets, and so on. So that's, I think, there's a good opportunity again to bring ethics and this type of design into the way we design products, leveraging by technologies.
Well, without revealing anything, but I really believe that we'll have a future in few years. Few is a comfortable word. We don't need to define how many years, but where we'll wake up in the morning and there will be something. It could be a refrigerator. It could be a new device that doesn't exist today. They will tell you, well, by the way, we'll talk to you, right? Because now the machines talk to us. And it will be like, oh, Mauro, I know that probably today you need a certain kind of drink and a certain kind of snack. And I'm going to make it for you, on the basis of your taste. And I know that you need this kind of drink from a functional standpoint because you need an extra boost of vitamin B12 today and some electrolytes. And why? Because I have a wearable device on my skin. It could be my watch. It could be my Band-Aid that is a smart Band-Aid that is telling me, that is monitoring my body, but then it's also connected to my agenda and knows perfectly I'm going to have a very intense day. And so there will be space. And today, I don't know, I wake up and I get something like 12, 13 different pills with different kind of integrators and everything. In the past few years, I got into this. There will be probably a future where I can have a very tasteful snack, with 0 calories that can give me all of these and is created on the moment for me on the basis of what I really, really need. And then I can still go out for lunch and get a good salad or a lobster or a fish or whatever I love. Yeah. And there will be this very balanced combination of different things. This is my wish for technology in the future, but I think it's going to happen. What do you think?
I think it's going to happen for sure. There is a level of sophistication as we know. But listening to you, I was remembering one of the reasons why I moved from Milano to Paris is because I read. I started to work with a professor who is still my maître à penser, my maestro, my mentor. And one of the books he wrote was The Shadow of Dionysos, and Dionysos is the Greek god of orgia, but orgia in that sense of being together is how do you socialize, how do you create community, how do you empathize, and a lot of the elements in his book and his work was really about being together and food. There is definitely an element which is how do you maintain your body active, but on the other hand, especially as Italian, the rituals around food on having the slow food movement, having a long lunch with friends, with family, to socialize, to laugh and empathize. These actually have amazingly good effect in our health, physical and mental. So, Harvard studies, they did a very interesting Harvard group. They did a very long study on happiness, and definitely one of the interesting point of happiness is people who are the happiest in the world are the ones who have entertained this social relationship, social connections. And of course, through the socialization of food is one of the elements or moments in our lives that keep us healthy in a true sense, like mentally and physically. So definitely the way we can architecture, design food and food experiences can really make a difference in our lives.
By the way, you just say a keyword, happiness. I just wrote a book in Italian, and I end the book talking about how to design happiness, but the entire book is connected to that theme. I think we should remind ourselves all the time that everything we do, the work we have, our connections with family members, friends, and our communities, anything should be always driven to reach individual happiness and social happiness. The primary cause of why we do all of this, that is to create happiness for us, individuals, society. And if we are in position of responsibilities, like in my case, your case, we have the responsibility of trying to enable the happiness of our teams, of the people that in a way or the other we work with every day. So Harvard did a work on happiness. I didn't know. Can you tell us more about this?
75 is a longitudinal study where they interviewed for, I guess now 85 years, like family, and it's really trying to understand. I will share more detail, but it's really trying to understand how, what make you happy and healthy in your life. And definitely is for how long you entertain the relationship, for how long you stay connected with the people that you truly love. And these are people are definitely happier. So way more than career achievement than money. I mean, we're saying something that is trivial at the end of the day, because. But I know you wrote you wrote on happiness. I think is super interesting for two reasons. One is, at least two reasons, but the first one is, we lead teams of designers that need to invent, create, build the future for us, for them, for their kids, for our kids. And the future cannot be read on Excel spreadsheet looking at data from the back. So the only way that they create a good future, if they are creatively engaged and happy about what the future could be, then the product can definitely embody this level of joy and happiness. And I think that's fundamental. And the second thing is, like, we had a big meeting and we were designing a new product. We were structuring the product and the drivers for the product and so on. And I forced one of the pillar, which is joy. Like, design a product that give you joy, like, make you happy, etc., etc. So happiness and joy are definitely pillars that we need to strive towards and keep at the very center. That's a very important value. I 100% agree.
Completely. So I agree so much. You run the Samsung Design Innovation Center. When we talk about innovation, especially outside of the consumer electronics world, in food and beverage, in packaged goods, and in tech, in R&D technological companies like my previous company, 3M, often innovation is either owned by the traditional R&D organizations, so science, engineering, or in other companies, once again, more in CPG, by marketing. How do you work with other functions in Samsung in innovation? Who owns what? What is the responsibility of all the different functions? How do you connect with the other functions within the organization?
Two things. The first one is, basically, I joined Samsung originally by taking a sabbatical from MIT, and I wanted to explore and take some time, embrace new challenges. So I joined Samsung, and then I make a choice to remain because I thought it was an amazing opportunity. But when I joined Samsung, the center was called Samsung Design America, and they changed into Samsung Design Innovation Center. And the big change is basically due to the fact that Samsung Design America was still mainly driven more by industrial design, which is great, and we still do amazing industrial design, and I love it. But I wanted to bring more this experience lens, human-centered lens. So then Samsung Design lives within the Samsung corporate, and I'm lucky enough right now to have, anyway, 3 hats within Samsung. So I have one team within design, which is Samsung Design Innovation Center, and then I have one team within Samsung Research. And the team is a global team. And again, the goal is to bring experience and insight into product development. And the third team within the business line. So in a way, I bridge from advanced research to design to business line. I bridge this area, and the way I bridge it is through experience. So the only thread that connect everything that we are doing and with my teams is really in the lens of experience. Then who owns innovation is always a very good, in a way, tension between what we bring as a designer, what we observe, what we desire, and what other teams brings as technologies, as product leads and so on. So there is I would say, a positive tensions with a lot of discussion and engagements that help products to advance, and everyone trying to protect certain ideas. And I think this is a richness for us.
Do you have innovation teams in business and innovation teams in, I don't know how you call that function, engineering or R&D?
Yeah. There are innovation teams and there are innovators. We try to do project together, so we're trying to work with rather than rather than in a linear process when you do something and you do. So it's really trying to, definitely there is a lot of coordination, there is a lot of engagement, discussion. Pre-pandemic, a lot of travels, bring teams to work together. And that's actually is also very interesting point. When you bring people from overseas here or vice versa, you go to other country, you apply a lens in your look in what you observe, totally different. And is interesting. And this enriched tremendously our design.
I'm going to say something that probably so many people hear almost every week. It happened to me last night. I was at dinner in a restaurant. There was the owner of this restaurant that told me, I have a son, he's 14 years old, and he spent all the time in front of the computer. You can't remove, and he plays with it, he makes friends, and I don't even want to move him away from the computer because it's going to impact his social life. But his social life is somehow virtual, and now I can't wait for him to go to high school. So maybe, he will need to go to school, and somehow we'll need to connect with other kids. How do you see technology and new generations and socializations and gaming? I mean, right now is really not ideal. I'm always, again, very open and about the power of new technology and what they enable us to do. So there is the beauty for these kids to connect with kids that are completely different kind of cultures and way of thinking, and this is great. But also the physical interaction of meeting somebody in the street, or even just working out in the street, just running after a ball, is important. So how can we change this? Use technology, but eventually in a more hybrid way. Well, what's your point of view?
I think let's say as designer, if I shortcut or classify in a very personal way the evolution of design. So let's say back in the late 60s, 70s, the Engelbart invented the mouse, and basically the design was really focusing on the human-computer interaction. How do you as a person interact with the machine? So that was a big revolution. So that was phase one, and the designer really was in a way the master who need to really define a good framework for the person to interact with the machine and be efficient into that interaction. Next step, early 2000, a little bit earlier, we start really to think ecosystem of services. So we realized that products live within a larger context. If you design something, this needs to be connected to other services. And in that case, the designer is the orchestrator. You understand that there is a larger mission. Today, when we discuss cars, and we discuss ethics, today is when you design a product, you not only design the product, but you need to design also the way the product learn from you. How you use artificial intelligence on sensors to grow, learn, and have proactive action. So in a way, designer in that case is really the master, is the creator of it.
one thing that is happening in this field, I mentioned gaming and playing with others, is all the e-gaming industry, and now no matter they all play virtually and disconnected from one another, there is this new phenomenon that is not that new anymore at this point of going to these stadiums and getting together for 2-3 days and looking at people playing. So it's a fascinating job for many designers today. Many of the people listening to us look at this industry, because there may be opportunities to do with design things that we're not doing today. These people need to eat and drink and have fun and spend time and break, pause, and then go back to the energy of the game and watching the game. And maybe they want to play them too. So it's fascinating how no matter it's all virtual and you're disconnected from people, sooner, even in a physical way, sooner or later, you converge towards a physical space where to meet everybody. And again, going back to this, this idea, the ethics of design in the world of technology, what you were just saying just a few minutes ago, understanding what is the full experience and how you can bring people together using technologies as an enabler is going to be key.
Yeah. But I totally agree and resonate for what you said. Actually, when I studied in France, I was leading a research group on the use of technology in everyday life, and one of the first publication we made was called basically cyber sociality, and was the exploration of, despite the fact that we love to be in the internet and create discussion groups, etc., we all love to be together at one point. So, and we are in early 90s, mid 90s, when the web started, etc., and there was a lot of voices that really say, oh, this technology will break us apart. Now we'll do only party online and so on. But we did studies and work and with a lot of people. And actually, the point was there is still a level of amazing engagement through network in online communities, but still we come together. And actually, for example, one of the big projects I did at that time was we had the bulletin board system, the BBS, and BBSs were different than online communities. BBS were basically some of them managed by people that love to have online conversation about whatever they want, but they came together to have dinner, party, etc., etc. So there was definitely an online amusement and interaction, but that there was a strong level of human empathy at the same time, which is still what is happening. Like people, before COVID, of course, people keep traveling, meeting, etc., etc. And actually, we rediscover the pleasure of this human necessity of human, and in the gaming industry is definitely the same.
I love how often in this conversation you tap into history to decodify what's going on in the present, in the future. Many philosophers and historians do this, understand the past to really better study the past to better understand the present and forecast the future. I was thinking about all the conversation going on probably about 20 years ago on how technology would have impacted in a negative way all the travel industries, airplanes.
Exactly.
And the reality is that we learned already a long time ago that actually technology amplified your connections with others, and therefore eventually you need even more travels to be connected because sooner or later you need to have this connection. And why I'm mentioning this, it was inspired by what you just said, but also because we are in the middle of COVID. Hopefully we're slowly getting out of this pandemic. And a lot of people are thinking, well, we're going to travel less. We're going to probably it's going to, a change will happen. But the reality, and probably will cut what was not necessary, but this need of human beings of getting together, both in the same city. So we saw immediately people running out of their home and going to movie theaters and restaurants and everywhere. This was pretty obvious what was going to happen. But for the longest time, in the past few months, people were like, oh, people won't go back. They will change behaviors. They rediscover what you can do at home and you can cook with friends. No, the same with travels. I think both for business and pleasure, I think when we feel more comfortable, enhanced by these technologies, we will try to reconnect physically and travel again.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think what happened, definitely, we had through COVID, we have an opportunity to think or to many aspects of our lives. And a lot of people probably when they're saying, about traveling is in the Bay Area, for example, commuting to work is a big issue.
Yeah.
And people start to think, why should I spend 3 hours a day or even 4 sitting on my car when I can do certain tasks in a different way? So it's not that, I want to go full remote or fully present, but how do you manage your life to be, back to what we were saying before, to be happier?
Yeah.
So exactly. Sometimes you need in presence and sometimes you need just to, work from home. So, but it's true that all those Luddites, all those elements of people or things that we hear in the past, like killing the travel industry, and it's a recurrent topics. But at the end of the day, we as humans, we enjoy to socialize and being together. And we are seeing this also right now, how people is suffering by staying apart, actually.
Well, on this, we can close. I love this idea that we just share of the human need of socializing, connected to happiness, understanding from the past to envision the future. And this is what we do as designers and innovators. So, Federico, keep envisioning the future with this ethical filter that you have in everything you do. You have a very important role in a very important company. Thanks for this conversation with us today, and thanks to everybody that's been listening to this conversation.
Thank you, Mauro. It's always fantastic talking to you and having this great conversation and see how we can bring design to the right place. So it was great to see you and talk with you.
Thank you, Federico.
Thank you. Grazie.